Influence, it's this constant kind of invisible force in, well, everything we create, right? From the songs we write to the art we make. It's like this thread connecting every single artist and every idea throughout history. So for this explainer, let's pull on that thread a little and really explore what originality actually means.
Okay, I want to start with a big question for you. I want you to think about your all-time favorite song. You know the one. It feels like it was written just for you. Now, is that song a totally one-of-a-kind masterpiece, something born from nothing? Or is it maybe part of something much, much bigger?
Well, to answer that, we've got to first understand the real power of influence. See, no artist creates in a vacuum. It's just not possible. Everyone, whether they realize it or not, is part of this massive ongoing conversation with the culture around them and all the history that came before.
Okay, and here's a perfect way to ground this idea. Just think about the 1960s. The psychedelic movement, it wasn't just in the music. No way. It was a cultural tidal wave that completely reshaped everything. Art, fashion, books, even philosophy. All the creative stuff from that era was caught up in the exact same social and, well, chemical currents of the time. And this really hammers home how much context matters. Okay, just imagine for a second. What if the Beatles had access to, say, the synthesizers from the 70s, or the digital recording studios we have today? Do you think their music would have sounded the same? I mean, their genius was absolutely undeniable, but it was also shaped by the tools they had and the world they were living in. Kind of makes you wonder, right? How much do our tools actually define our creativity?
And that actually brings us perfectly to our next big point. Because, the relationship between technology and art, it's fascinating, but it can also be super contentious. At what point does a helpful tool cross the line and become what some people might call a cheat?
I mean, this is the classic debate right here. On one side, you've got the traditional path, putting in years and years of vocal training, just honing your craft through pure effort. And on the other side, you have a tool like Auto-Tune, which can basically make a vocal performance sound perfect, artificially. One is seen as total dedication, and the other, well, it's often looked down on as some kind of fake shortcut.
But hey, Auto-Tune is just one example. Modern music is absolutely packed with these kinds of technological tools. We're talking keyboard synths, guitar pedals that create these wild, otherworldly sounds, drum machines that can lay down a flawless beat. All of these have inspired entire genres and totally shaped the music we listen to today. For better or for worse, they're the tools of the modern trade.
So where do we actually draw that line? I mean, really, if using Auto-Tune is cheating, then what about a drum machine or a guitar pedal? Let's take it further. What about the frets on a guitar that, help you play in tune? Or heck, what about the drumsticks themselves? You can see how this argument quickly goes off the rails into a ridiculous extreme. Pretty much every tool, at some level, is there to make creating something just a little bit easier.
And that brings us to the real judge in this whole debate. It's us, the audience, right? Whether a song made with a ton of tech help is seen as a masterpiece or a total fraud, well, that usually just comes down to what the listeners, the fans, decide is acceptable. It's our collective taste that ends up shaping the boundaries of what's possible in art. But, even though the audience decides what's acceptable, this whole debate over originality isn't just about technology. It's also about the very human act of learning from other people. So now, let's explore that super fine, really blurry line between being inspired by your heroes and just straight up stealing from them.
Okay, so to start, let's just get a clear definition on the table. Plagiarism. Taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as your own. Seems simple enough, right? Yeah, well, in the world of art and music, it is rarely that clear-cut.
And this really is the question at the heart of it all. At what point does a chord progression that was inspired by a classic song become just a copy? When does a painter's style, clearly influenced by a master, cross over into being a forgery? Yeah, there are no easy answers here. But check this out. This kind of reframes the whole idea of copying. Maybe it's not a sin, but actually a necessary first step. Seriously, think about it. When you first pick up a guitar, what's the first thing you do? You learn to play the songs of your favorite bands, right? Every single artist, writer, musician, they all start by trying to be like their heroes. It's literally how we learn the language of our craft.
And then, just to add another layer of complication, there's the legal side of things. Thanks to copyright law, music that's centuries old is pretty much in the public domain. So you could, in theory, take some obscure piece from the 1800s, repackage it, and release it as your own, and you wouldn't get into any legal trouble. So, is that innovation, or is it just borrowing from someone who isn't around to object?
All right, so we've talked tech, we've talked law, but let's get to the real reason any of this actually matters. Because at its core, Art isn't really about how it was made or where the ideas came from. It's about one simple thing: how it makes us feel.
Take this line from Simon and Garfunkel. It's so simple, but wow, it instantly creates a mood, a whole atmosphere. It just paints a picture. And that is the magic of art, using words and sounds to build a world and just pull the listener right into it.
And this is exactly what the author of our source material was talking about. For them, this one song made a place they'd never even visited feel inspirational and cool. That is the power we're talking about. The ability for a song to create a whole emotional landscape inside your mind, a feeling that is 100% real to you.
And we've all felt this, right? That physical, inspired chill that just runs through you when you hear a certain song. It's not just sound waves hitting your ears. It's like a key that unlocks a flood of memories and really deep emotions. That connection, that's ultimately what we're looking for in art, no matter how original it might be on paper.
Okay, so given this giant web of influence, this mix of technology and pure emotion, what comes next? Where do we go from here? How does creativity even move forward?
Let's circle back to the Beatles one more time. When they hit the scene, they didn't just create a bunch of copycat bands. Not at all. Instead, their innovation inspired tons of other bands to be innovative in their own unique ways. See, true pioneers don't just tell you to follow them. They help show you the way to find your own path. You know, there's that famous saying that just perfectly captures this whole idea of creative progress. Every new idea, every groundbreaking song, every revolutionary piece of art, it's all built on the foundation of what came before. We don't create from scratch, we build upon the work of giants.
And that leaves us with one final and, I think, crucial question. Maybe it's not about finding something completely and impossibly new. Maybe it's about taking this incredible legacy of art and music that we've all inherited and asking ourselves, how will we use it to see further? What new perspective are we going to bring to the table? And honestly, that's a question for every single one of us.